Welcome to part 4 of this video series. We're looking at the repair and restoration of the Bush VHF 64. So the focus now is on getting the FM stage working. I was in the process of swapping the VHF box out from the one that I retrieved from the Bush VHF 62. It's an identical box. I haven't done any real troubleshooting downstream on the IF stages, and on reflection, maybe I should do that. But I need to take the box out anyway to address the suspension issues. So it's a very easy thing to swap over. So I decided I'm going to do that. So let's just see how we get on and see if that addresses the issue. Well, first of all, I found another Hunt capacitor just lurking underneath the output transformer, so that needed to be changed out. Okay, so this is the replacement VHF box. Came off a Bush VHF 62 radio, which was pretty beaten up. So I don't know if it works, but we'll give it a go. So obviously the tuner capacitor and mounting are different. However, the unit is identical. So I've hooked it off the spindle here, and it needs to be hooked onto the spindle here. I don't think that is going to be a big job to do. This eyelet is identical to this one, so all I'll do is probably just slacken the tension on this cable, flip it off, and then it's just a simple wraparound. So hopefully I'm in good shape, and we'll see how we get on with that. So here's the VHF box sub-assembly put back together, and it was very easy to do. This cord was about 3mm shorter than the other one, which meant when it was tuned, it actually brought the iron cores out of the box. So there is actually this adjustment mechanism here. So it was set to here. So all I needed to do was tweak this, and well, it was actually quite a big movement, and it actually just compensated for the shorter cord. So it works very well, and it's now set to the same level as the original one. So it's all looking good. Now it's time to get this back in the radio. So the sub-assembly for the tuning and the FM box are reassembled into the chassis, and I'm just listening out for any FM, and there's still nothing there. The other bonus with the Bush VHF 61 is the VHF antenna is in a lot better condition as well, so I'm going to reuse that. But as it stands, I'm not really getting any sound there, so I'm just listening out. Well, it's warming up properly now, and I think it's just a faint sound like the other box. I guess a bonus here is that I'm pretty sure that FM box is good. I can't have two faulty ones, and like I said, I don't think they're faulty. Yeah, so I'm just going to work through the FM stages now, checking the cans and the capacitors around there, and hopefully it will sort of spring into life at some particular point when I get through that process. Look, this is not my finest hour. Just changing parts without doing proper troubleshooting is not the best engineering approach to actually resolving issues here. So changing the VHF box out has not fixed the issue. So I really got to put my attention onto the IF stages and do some proper troubleshooting there. Now, the way I want to do that is actually go through the FM alignment process. I think that's a good way of actually exposing any issues, and that's what I'm going to do. So I've not really done an alignment before on a radio, so I'm going to start actually with the AM alignment because the process is simpler, and hopefully I'll learn a few things from that and then apply that knowledge to the FM alignment. So it's going to be a good learning exercise for myself, and hopefully it's going to expose the problems which are definitely there with the FM stage. So how do I go about repairing this radio now for the VHF? I have changed the VHF box. The old one was probably working, but I had a spare one to hand. But really, I should be checking the alignment here. I need to go down this path here. This is where the VHF goes into these two intermediate frequency cans and then into the FM discriminator. I do have a spare set, but I don't want to change those randomly. And really, I'm still getting faint sound from this VHF box, so next thing I think I need to do is check the alignment. I've actually gone through the switches just to make sure. These are some AM FM switches. They're all working. So with the alignment, I kind of didn't do it earlier because it is a faff. I do have the equipment to do the intermediate frequency alignments. That's the 10.7 megahertz, and I can do it on the AM as well. What I don't have is the equipment to do the RF alignment. Well, I do, but it's a project that's sitting under the table there. It arrived not too long ago, weighing 15 kilograms. And that's a future project, really. And I'll probably get it ready and come back to this radio and do the RF alignment as well. Okay, so I'm ready to do an intermediate frequency stage alignment for the AM. I've got the radio on its side because I need to get to the coils back and front, or top and bottom. And it seems a fairly straightforward procedure. Now, before this, what I thought I'd do, there was an outer tolerance resistor on the cathode of the EL84, so I swapped that out. It was registering about 180 ohms when it should be 150 ohms. And that's actually made the radio a lot louder, and I could actually pick up 3 stations on the FM. So I think we're getting a bit closer. And I'm hoping the alignment, when we do the FM stage, would hopefully bring everything back. If not, I've got the spare set of cans if I need to change those. Certainly not the VHF box, and I think the other ones are good as well. So I probably should have done this prior, but I was trying to avoid the alignment. Anyway, there might still be a problem there. Yeah, so for this, what you need is a 470 kilohertz modulated signal. Now, the only modulator function generator I have is on my signal generator, on my oscilloscope, and I've set that up to do the modulation, the 400 hertz audio tone that's going to come out of that. Essentially, all we need to do is connect the signal to pin 2 of V4, and then just the secondary and primary of T6 for maximum audio output. Then transfer the generator to pin 2 of V3 and just the secondary primary of T4 for maximum audio output, and then transfer the generator to pin 2 of V2 and adjust the secondary and primary of T2 for maximum output. So it seems fairly straightforward. I've got my ceramic screwdriver. I'll be working inside the radio live, so I'll only be putting one hand in there. So everything's connected. So let's just get going with the procedure. Okay, so I've got a tone coming through. It's quite a nice clean tone, actually. We'll just adjust the T6, which is the first one, and that's in front of the FM discriminator, actually. So I'm just going to go in there carefully. My head might be in the way. So that's going quieter. It's coming louder. That's just dimming off a little bit. I think that's okay. We just need to go to the other side. It's not really making a lot of difference when I move that. So I'm just going to leave that as it is and then move on to the next one. Okay, so I'm on the next one, which is V3. Nice clean tone coming through. It's lovely to hear. So I'm just going to adjust this one and just be very careful. It's next to the FM discriminator. Okay, so that's in there. And that's going quieter. That's about the loudest. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera. It's very subtle. And I'll just go to the top here. Again, that's a little bit sticky. It's going quieter a bit. Again, it's very subtle. I think that's its peak. So we'll leave that one at that point. And I'll just do the final stage. Okay, so on the final stage, which is pin to a V2, and I believe I'm adjusting the first IF can on the own stage, which I think is T2. Just check. Yep, T2. That's the first one in the chain up here. So let's have a go. Again, just being very careful. Just one hand in the radio. It's going quieter. That's going quieter. So I think that's at about its peak. So let's do the front end. So the top side. That's going quieter. That's going quieter. Right, I think that's about right. That's about its peak. So I think that's the IF alignment done on the AM stage. So we'll just check that the radio's working. I'll turn this off properly. Don't want to go unhooking stuff and unnecessarily blowing my kit up. And we'll just turn the radio on now. And we'll just see if we can get some stations. There's hardly any volume on this, so let's just see what we've got.
And I can take it all. When you're at the Olympic Games, you're in the final, you're in the pinnacle of sport for gymnastics.
Let's talk sport.
your gymnasts to get in this Olympic final, and we'll keep you up to date, Mark, with what happens.
Okay, so it definitely works, and it's very loud. We've got this crackling though, so I need to just try and work out what that crackling may be. So yeah, there's a little bit of work to do, but yeah, not bad for the ILF alignment on this radio. Okay, so onto the FM alignment, and this is the one I really want to do because hopefully we'll get the FM working. Now this is a lot more involved in terms of the instruction set, so I'll break it down into chunks. One of the things we need to do is patch these matched 47k resistors across the FM discriminator capacitor, and I measured these two, which I put in at 47.5k each, so they're well matched. We also need, or it recommends, an AVO 8. I do have an AVO 8, so I'm lucky in that regard. And that needs to be set onto the 10 volt DC range, so I'll put it onto 30 first, and that will measure the voltage which we're going to get through. Now, the basic premise here is that we inject a 10.7 megahertz signal into the grid of V2, and we need to alter the amplitude of that signal. So we've got about 4 volts on the AVO, and then we kind of work back from the FM discriminator can through the two intermediate frequency cans and adjust those to actually get a peak volt. So we're all set up for the first one actually, so I'll just turn the soldering iron off because it does emit a little bit of EMF. I've got the signal generator connected, so it's just a case of engaging the power, and we'll bring on the FN and just let that warm up, and hopefully we'll see the meter actually come up. So I'll just put it here so you might be able to see that bit. I know you shouldn't stand these meters up, but it'd be good just to see what's actually happening. It's just starting to rise now. So you can see that voltage is starting to come up. So it's getting warmed up now and coming on. So I'll just give it a few seconds really to warm up. Okay, so need to adjust that to be about 4 volts. So let's select the. I'm only at 25 millivolts, so I'm just going to adjust the amplitude up. And that's coming up. I'm coming up, I think. Yep. And that's about there, isn't it? Oh, it's bang on 4 volts. So yes, that's 66 millivolts in there. So the idea now, looking at the instructions, is to so on the 10 volt DC range. So injecting the 10.7 megahertz unmodulated signal into pin 2, turning the volume to minimum, which it is. And during the alignment is advisory to ensure sufficient. So yeah, so we need to keep that at 4 volts. So we need to adjust the primary of T7. That's the FM discriminator can. And the primary is from the underneath. So got to keep one hand out. Make sure I can access that safely, which I think I can. Or I need to know I can. Just make sure that's gripping. I don't think that's actually. Oh, it's just turning there, I think. Okay, so I'm actually going to reserve judgment on that particular discriminator. I think I'm turning the cores, but I'm not getting any adjustment on the meter One thing I did have was I was still in the 30 volt range, and so the amplitude was way high. So I've actually adjusted that down to about 4 volts on the 10 volt range. So the next thing I need to do is connect a 1K resistor across the secondary of T5 and adjust the primary of T5. That's from the bottom for maximum DC output. So that's the thing I'm going to do next. I know these cores turn. I've actually checked those really well. So I'll just get that resistor attached, and we'll come back when that's done. Okay, so signal generator's back on. I've got the resistor attached to the secondary of, I think it's T7. No, it can't be T7. T7 is the discriminator. This is T5. So I need to adjust the primary, which is on the bottom, to get the maximum voltage output. So this is quite easy to get to. Also got the resistor on there, so I know I'm attacking the right one. So you could probably just see my head. So that's going up, that's going down, up, down. Right, so that's peaked at that particular point. So that's quite an easy adjustment. So I need to now move the resistor to the primary and adjust the secondary. Okay, so we're all set for the next one. And I'm just going to reach into the top here. Make sure this screwdriver engages. I think it's got it there now. Again, I'm not sure if that's turning. Let's just make sure that is engaging properly. One of the problems is they'll stop these coils with paint. I did try to clear them out, but it's just proven a little bit problematic. No, I don't think that's turning, so just going to have a little fiddle with that, see if we can get it to release. Okay, so I'm on the primary now of T3, and I just need to adjust the secondary coil, which I can do quite easily. Just put the metal one in first, just to get it spinning. Yeah, that's definitely turning. Not getting much movement now, but the coil is definitely turning. So I'll leave that as it is. And we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, for this next stage, I've got to switch the AVO meter into the milliamp range and connect it between the two 47K resistors, which I've done. And then you set it to the 50 microamp range, and you've got to adjust the secondary of T7, the discriminator, to give a 0 reading. Now I've put this in on the 300 microamp range, and I'm getting a reading of about 80 microamps, so I'm glad I didn't put it on the 50. So somehow I've got to try and get that down to 0. So I will try and adjust this discriminator. I am struggling with it a little bit, I think, and I'm going in from the secondary, and I think that's definitely bound, but it's really not turning very well. So I need to free this up a little bit. It's definitely moving. You might just be able to see the dial twitching a little bit. I'm not getting that down to 0 though. and it's not turning freely. So actually I need to take this out. I think yeah, for this discriminator I will take this can out and just clean it up. I'm just wondering if this is really causing the problems, because I'm not getting that to really deflect that reading at all. I don't really want to damage it, even though I've got a spare one. So yeah, so I will go to the final stage of this, but there's obviously an issue to sort out here. So in a lot of ways, that's really good. Yeah, let's go on to the next little bit. Okay, so I've turned the radio around a little bit. So for this final check, I've moved the lead back into the voltage position, reset the AVO. It's reading about 0.5 volt at the moment. For the purpose of this test, we need to put the signal generator onto the Earl antennas and adjust the can on the VHF box, which is below the ECC 85 valve. We need to adjust that to get the maximum input. Now, I can't find my ceramic capacitor at the moment, so I'm just going to do this and hope for the best with a metal one. I can't remember where I put it. Anyway, let's just see if we can get a deflection here. So it's this can at the back here. And I didn't release this one, but I've checked it does actually spin freely. That's going down. That's going down. So that's the peak there. So I am able to adjust that to its peak. So that, in theory, is the procedure done. What I'm concerned about is the current around that discriminator, and I can't get that to spin. So if I can't get any FM stations now, I'm going to take that out and have a good look at it. Possibly put the new one in or the spare one in just to see if that makes a difference. But we did get some adjustments done here, so I wonder how the radio is actually performing now on FM. So you might just be able to hear that. It's a slight improvement, and I can get 3 or 4 stations on this now. So the only component I really was not happy with is the FM discriminator can. I couldn't really get it adjusted properly. It seems to be seized. I really want to take that out and have a good look at it and get all the slugs cleanly moving and try and redo the alignment, making sure I can get that 50 micro amp down to 0. I think that is a key thing. So I can't complete the full alignment procedure, so we've got a problem there, and that's what I want to focus on resolving. But we are getting a little bit better. Well, yeah, I don't feel at this stage I've made a huge amount of progress with the radio. It's been a lot of work really doing the alignment, but the actual experience of going through the process of doing the alignment has been very good for me, both on the AM and the FM stages. It has identified some work that needs to be done, freeing up those dust iron cores in those transformers and the discriminator. So I'll need to do that activity again. So that's where we're going to pick up part 5, and hopefully that's going to resolve the issues around the radio. If you do find these videos useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. That really helps me. Also comments as well. I've had some great comments, a few negative comments as well, but it's good to get your feedback really if you're finding these useful. So we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.